This is probably the dumbest idea I've ever had. I mean, some might even say a huge waste of time, and I guess I can't fault them for that. I know how it looks on the outside, just a dude in his garage late at night working on a hideous looking vehicle. Something that should probably be lost in the history books. But here I am. Yes, this is a Subaru Baja. To be exact, it's a 2005 Subaru Baja Turbo that I built for one reason: to become a light overlanding rig for my solo adventures. I needed a vehicle for gravel road travel that drove like a car but provided just enough room to pack in gear for a quick trip to the forest. Something that gave me organization for camping as well as adequate lighting and charging capabilities when on the road filming. The twist was, I wanted something very unique.
Honestly, I don't even remember how I started looking for Bajas, but somehow I did stumble into a very uncommon one. But ever since I was looking for Bajas, I wanted two things. I wanted manual and I wanted turbo. I knew that I needed the extra power with all the weight on it, but I also wanted manual because I enjoy driving manual. I did later learn that it was rumored there was about 1,500 of those that were produced, so I was very lucky, to say the least, to find one of these things. And after driving it about 5 hours home, I quickly became aware of the situation. I started tearing it apart and there was just rust everywhere. Door jambs, rockers, cross members, honestly anything you can think of that was under the vehicle, it was just rusted and almost gone at that point. As I started working on it, I quickly realized how much work this was going to take. And quite frankly, without the skill set and knowledge of my father, I probably couldn't have even started it at that point. As the project progressed forward from repairs into actual modifications, that's when I kind of started to learn some of that knowledge. At this point, I thought I knew what I wanted this thing to be and how to get there.
And the dream of the result was the one thing that kept me motivated to finish this thing up. Day in and day out, I dreamt of taking this strange vehicle on road trips to places I've never been before. And I truly desired to build a vehicle that fit my solo travel needs. I wanted a vehicle that was small, but yet somewhat capable when off the pavement. And after putting a 2-inch lift on as well as King Springs better struts and 28-inch tires, this thing was proving itself to work great on state forest roads. When planning out the build, there was one thing that was very important to me. That was the camping setup. Being that this was not an extreme off-road vehicle, I wanted to lay the Baja out in such a way that made camp easy and efficient. And having the bed in the back allowed me to store camping supplies and food in sealed containers, as well as haul water, camp chairs, firewood, and anything else I could fit in the back. The tailgate was an added benefit as it acts as my table when cooking up meals that fuel my adventures. Another super important thing to me was the lighting. Cooking in the dark, as I often find myself doing, can take much longer than it should. I wanted the lighting installed in the bed as well as camp lights that would flood the area around me that are mounted on the roof rack. I wanted these lights to run off of a secondary battery setup that would be located in the bed, as this setup would also charge all of my gear at night. From the beginning, the bed area was where I put a lot of my focus in when it came to planning. I needed a very capable camp setup.
As the project continued, it became quite obvious what this was. It was a basket case, and I just time and time again, I ran into so many issues. My favorite issue actually was the turbo, and I used to kind of in a way mock people who didn't like turbos because of reliability issues. But I think I see what they're saying now. And ever since buying this thing, I did notice an oil smell driving it. So I did take it apart and I looked at the turbo, and yes, there was some slop in there and it just seemed to be going bad. So I got a new one put in and I thought it was all fine. Within 2 hours of driving it after getting that put in, a seal blew and there was just smoke everywhere. It was like this for weeks. I was hesitant to replace the turbo because like, I don't know if that was it, but it became quite obvious that it was a turbo. It got really bad and yes, the turbo was trash. So another turbo got put in and it fixed the issue. And at this point in the project, it was just hilarious, to be honest, because there's so many times I had to redo things. Some of it was because of my lack of knowledge, but some of it was just a freak accident. And every time somebody asked me when it would be done, I had to keep pushing it back. First, it was fall of 2022, then it was Christmas of 2022, then early spring 2023, then early summer 2023, and here we are at late summer 2023 with it at least usable. Even now I'm chasing some little bugs. And yeah, in the moment it does suck having a vehicle that you dream about every day, taking it somewhere and just exploring and camping. It kind of sucks because that's all that's on your mind and you can't even do that at the moment. But in my opinion, the knowledge gained was worth it and I knew adventures were to come.
And adventures could not come quickly enough. After taking the project on a trip for the first time, I quickly realized why I put the time into this strange vehicle. The time was well spent not only learning skills that would translate into my next build, but also building a tangible object I could use. This Baja was built for experiences. It was not built to be a showpiece. Everything from the suspension to the roof rack to the tent to the lighting and battery setup was designed to get me where I want to go to create memories and film scenery that I have not experienced before. I ultimately wanted a small vehicle that would keep me off the pavement as long as possible. And there's something important to being self-sufficient that I think is lost in today's society. Everyone wants to be comfortable while forgetting that being comfortable in uncomfortable scenarios is a very comforting feeling. That belief worked its way into the Baja build as I wanted tools that could keep me exploring for as long as possible before needing to stop in town. Tools that would allow me to be self-sufficient for a long period of time without relying on anybody else to keep the trip going. I often find myself struggling with what actually makes overland trips important and exciting. Is it the vehicle? Is it the scenery? Or is it the time alone or with friends? And the most cliche answer is usually something about the journey or the process of getting to that cool camp spot or view. But I'm starting to think it's something different. It's easy to forget the late nights and the times you just wanted to throw in the towel when on the other side of a finished project. And I'm starting to realize just how important that time was to me. From the outside, it just looks like a crazy dude just working on a wild dream. You build things, you grow, you experience, and repeat. And I hope that cycle never ends. But at the end of the day, it's time to use this thing.